First, we're going to talk a little bit about the recovery gap. Simply put, most everybody works out or does some type of activity without the thought of preparation or recovery. And the recovery gap is just that. There is no recovery to be had. And so they're constantly wearing themselves down and they're never building themselves back up. The big difference between a professional athlete and everybody else is they build that recovery process into their daily life, whether it be their workouts, their exercise, their pregame routine, their postgame routine, warm-ups, you name it. A recovery is a large portion of what they do because that is what helps them to heal faster, perform better, and stay in their level or their field as long as they possibly can. So really, a very good tip and a very easy tip would be to just start utilizing some recovery things or techniques or services right away and put them into your daily life. And today we're going to talk about a couple of ones that you can do right away. They won't cost you any money. You probably have all of the belongings to do these things and it will benefit you greatly. And then we'll also talk about a couple of things that are, take a little bit more effort, a little more professional service, where to go, which ones, in our opinion, work a little bit better for the average person, adult, school-age athlete, so on and so forth, to help recovery, to help prevent injury or to get back from injury, and obviously to increase their performance.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times here in the office about if you don't schedule that time to recover, then eventually you will go, and your body will tap out. It's not only going to affect your performance, where your performance is starting to plateau, but you may even regress. The other thing too we've talked about is that rest is not just the absence of doing things. Rest can be active,
Right.
but at the end of the day, you have to schedule in that rest to recover.
Yeah, it's very important to take care of yourself. And, going back to if we don't have a recovery plan and we're active in any degree, and active could be your picking up your grandkids and taking them out, on a cruise for a week, or active could be you go to Rocksbox or CrossFit, or active could be you're at Orange Theory, active could be you're a runner, active could be you're a cyclist, you play intramural soccer, right? Whatever. That's probably one of the bigger factors of being injured is that you're not prepared for the activity that you're doing. You have not given your body the necessary neural prepping. You haven't given your body the musculoskeletal prepping as far as warming everything up, making sure the joints are moving, making sure you're already doing some of the movements that there exercises or activities that you intend to do at a lower speed, so that when you get to speed, you don't get hurt, you don't get injured.
Yeah.
So pretty important and very often overlooked. And again, like I said earlier, with athletes, it's the opposite way around. They know the value of a proper recovery or proper warm up, and they build that into their daily life. And because they do that, they're able to get into that level of gear or extend their career or maintain some level of performance. And when they do finally get injured, they already have that built up where the injury is short-lived. They're back in game-ready condition
Yeah.
very, very quickly. But we're going to get right into a couple of how to recover a little bit better, faster, and what can you do right now. I like to give value as much as we can, and I'm a big believer. We always say it to our patients that 80% of your life, you should be able to handle whatever you have going on. If something is sore, you can stretch it or ice it or heat it. You should be able to kind of take care of your own system most of the time. And then when you can't take care of your system, when nothing is working or it's getting worse or sharper or a whole host of different things, then that's your body kind of telling you, hey, we need to go see a specialist. We need somebody that has maybe a little more utility or therapies or know-how to help us out of these issues. So the first tip that I would like to give that we can give across the board, everybody can do this right at home: conversion hot and cold. Exposing yourself to heat, that will help your circulation, your blood to kind of flow out towards your extremities. And then after a period of time with the heat component applied, you switch over to cold, and it kind of retracts that blood. It starts to suck that blood back into the internal organs, and it really helps to move that circulation around, refreshing our muscles and ligaments and tendons and neurology with fresh nutrients, healing powers of brand new blood. I'm going to be a little bit controversial when I say, in my clinical opinion, what I've seen work with professional athletes is that the hot component is more important than the cold component. I'm not discounting the cold component, everybody. I'm not saying that, if you can handle 40 degrees of icicles floating around you and blue lips, and you can handle that, and you're a Wim Hof believer, I'm a believer for you. I just am trying to tell you that the studies out there would indicate that you need much less time in exposure with cold to reap all the benefits. In hot exposure, you get a ton of health benefits from across the board. And there's a time limit that you kind of bottom out with that as well. But for instance, would be 20 to 30 minutes of hot exposure, followed by 3 to 5 minutes of cold exposure. We really, after about 15 to 30 minutes per week of cold exposure, we don't necessarily see a lot more benefit to longer periods of time in cold exposure. It's just how it is. Well, you can do this at home. If you have a shower, great. That's all you need to start. At the house, we have a portable steam sauna. I know a lot of my athletes like those because they're portable. They're easy to pack up and take with you. And so if you have a shower and a portable sauna, if you like to order a portable or one of those inflatable cold plunges, that's fine too. They're all relatively inexpensive, but even just with the shower, you can turn it on full blast hot or as hot as you like to contend with it. While you're in there, you can stretch a little bit and you can move around a little bit, but really you're just trying to warm yourself up as hot as you can. And then after about 20 or 30 minutes, I know this is the tough part, but switch that water over to cold and stand there for a minute to 5 minutes, and I like to tell people you should be standing with your arms raised and maybe even spinning around like a spigot, because you really want the cold water to hit your chest, underneath your arms, and the base of your spine or your back of your neck, because those are your heat sinks. You want to cool your system down quickly, rapidly. That is what causes the blood to ebb and flow. And then you get all the immune system benefits, the cardiovascular benefits, the longevity benefits. Your skin responds better. You look younger. You feel better. Recovery from injury, all kinds of different things. So that's a very easy thing to do. Everybody can do, and everybody should be doing that, especially before and after their activities. So, your kids are getting banged up on the field and they come home. It should be part of their recovery. You already have a shower. Might as well do it. That will pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, especially with talking about the athletes that really perform well, schedule that in. Well, that's already part of your schedule. I would hope most people are showering after a workout.
Sure, right. Your daily cleanliness, right? Add it in.
Yeah, so you're already doing that. Why not just do it in a smarter way?
Yeah, all you have to do is find the faith to turn it from hot to cold, and then breathe heavy for a couple of minutes and then go right back to hot.
Texan in me is just like, it's so painful. But I at least appreciate the fact that it's going to be more time under the heat than anything. Is also the idea of like sun exposure.
Early sun exposure, though.
Yeah, because that not only helps with like the sleep cycle, it helps out with your body being able to convert like vitamin D. I know that we are told that ultraviolet rays are harmful, and they are, but
some of them,
but
there's a spectrum.
Yeah, there's a spectrum, as with a lot of things, and it's the dose that makes the poison.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Too much water, for example, too much water in a short period of time, that's
very dangerous.
That is dangerous. Too much sun in a very short period of time,
also dangerous.
But all things in moderation and all things in context too. So like you said, early sun exposure is also very good. But that also helps out with a whole host of recovery things as well.
Oh, it helps out mentally as well. Decreases anxiety, helps you to wake up a little bit better, really sets your day in a better light, no pun intended. But yeah, early sun exposure is fantastic. The heat exposure that we're talking about, this time of year, everybody's kind of dropping like flies. Everybody has something. Somebody's catching a cold. I'm getting over one. I'll tell you, if you want to fast forward through a cold or prevent maybe a cold, hot cold conversion therapy is the best course of action that is free and you can do right away. When the kids come home or somebody comes home and they're coughing a little, hacking, they don't feel right, you should immediately start once a day doing that 20 minutes or 30 minutes of hot, followed by 1 to 5 minutes of cold. I personally like to do 2 to 3 rounds, but I'm a little bit of a fanatic when it comes to that. But it's only because of how I feel after. But the hot exposure, I love the heat. I was born in Buffalo, so I've never got the heat, so I just am making up for lost time. But the cold exposure, I was born in Buffalo, so I hate it. It's horrible, but it is very beneficial for us.
Yeah.
And so when I muscle through it, I sleep better immediately. My mood is way better. My immune system is a rock star. Longevity speaking, there's just so many different health benefits to it that I would strongly consider looking up the benefits that you can get and utilizing the things that are around you. Like I said, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're just trying to give you some really good information. And most of the time, you have the things available to you that can make a huge difference. And then when all those things don't work, and if you need an expert, we're here to help you.
Yeah. And a lot of times, especially with how accessible a lot of this recovery stuff has become recently, it's
Oh
become
man,
a lot more
it's
trendy.
wonderful.
Uh, it's not just about doing it, it's about doing it smartly.
Yeah.
There are some universal benefits
Hmm.
for certain things, but at the same time, you do have to ask yourself of what are you recovering from and how does that recovery process look to your sport in
Sure.
particular, to your stresses,
Yep.
your day-to-day life, and also you as an individual,
Yeah.
right?
And what's your goals? What do you want out of it? What are you
Yeah.
expecting out of it? Because I'm going to date myself, but I'm 51. So if I'm sedentary and I don't have a very active lifestyle, I do. But if I don't, and maybe I work at a desk all day and I then go from my desk to my car and I go from my car to my house, my chair, and I sit there and maybe I play pickleball once in a great while and then it takes me a week to recover from that. You can't expect recovery things to turn back the times at the hands of time and get you back to where you're 18 years old. It can make your life better. It can
Yeah.
increase the viability of your life. It can help with all things and increase your ability to perform better, feel better. Like I said, mood regulation, hormone regulation, all those fun things. But you have to know your limits. You have to know that, hey, if you're coming from a tough spot, you definitely have to do these things. You should be doing these things, but it's not a magic wand. There's no miracle fix. There's no light switch that you walk into a cryopod with your mittens on and your skull cap, and 3 minutes later you walk out and you're, oh, okay, let's go play some football that I haven't played in 30 years.
Yeah.
That's not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
But if you are honest with yourself and you know that, there's some things that you have to do to get you back up to wherever you want to go, recovery aspect can be a wonderful tool to help propel you that way.
Yeah. All of our body's functions takes time for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It takes 9 months ish to grow a baby. It's going to take some time to heal a broken bone. It's going to take time to heal some stenosis maybe, or neuropathy in your feet, or pins and needles in your hands, or you name it. I always tell my patients it may have taken you a really long time to walk down that path to get to this destination here. And we'll do everything we can to quickly go back and reverse a lot of that stuff. But there's a component of time you're going to have to contend with for sure. So the second free tip or thing that you can do right now, anybody can do, I give it to every one of my professional athletes, is simply walking backwards first thing in the morning and then before and after whatever activity you plan on doing. And the reason I preach to the mountains about this, that works so well, is when we are walking forward, our pelvis, our foundation, has 3 big bones and 4 joints, and it does something called coupled motion, meaning if one side goes up, the other goes down. If one side goes in, the other goes out. And so if you have free moving sacroiliac joints, everything works perfectly. But if you have some dysfunction where maybe one side of your hip isn't working as well as it should, and this could be for any number of reasons, it could be childbirth, it could be injury, it could be sedentary lifestyle, it could be a million different things combined into one. But if you have an unbalanced pelvis, your body gets very used to the range of motion necessary to ambulate or move forward. And sometimes your lumbar spine twists and turns to kind of help out with that, although it's not really its job to do that. And so your body learns to do what it can with the limited range of motion that we have. And walking backwards reverses that process and completely reverses the range of motion. And so it's almost like a brain hack where it forces your brain into giving you more range of motion, loosening up those ligaments, tendons, and soft tissues that are holding you fixated or decreasing your range of motion. And then also helps to warm up those joints as well. So when we get up in the morning, especially as you age out when you're an adult, we get stiff in the morning, where that's when usually we're the most stiff. And so as soon as I get out of bed, I get up and I walk in my bedroom back and forth backwards for 3 minutes. Just don't trip over the hamper, the clothes laying on the floor, the dogs, the shoes, the whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, I start my day. And before any of my activity, before I go work out, before anything like that, before work, I will do it again. And then when I get home, I also walk backwards again. And I'm talking up to 5 minutes max. Usually 1 to 3 minutes will do you, but up to 5 minutes max. And you will be amazed at, if you get up in the morning first thing and you immediately walk backwards, how much freer and much more range of motion you have and how less stiff you really are the rest of your day. And it's super important for everybody that's active or in some type of athlete or athletic activity. But every one of us, all of us humans, should have a properly functioning nervous system and a properly functioning musculoskeletal system, and they go hand in hand.
Yeah. It's especially easy to do if you have a treadmill. For my nerds out there, as to why that particularly helps with warming up and kind of retraining some of that soft tissue is, as we are born, one of the first things we learn to do is crawl. And so we develop what's called a cross crawl pattern, right? That's one of our primitive processes. And that cross crawl pattern continues once we become biped or standing on 2 feet.
Yep.
So when we're walking forward, like you said, we get neurologically trained, and we also, because the nervous system controls everything, we're also training the soft tissue to maintain that tension through that cross crawl pattern. But yeah, those peripheral nerves control, the fascia. They control the muscles themselves,
the tone.
Yeah,
all of it.
We've always been told that muscles receive instruction; they don't give instruction.
Right.
They have a sensory function, so the messages do go back up, but they receive instruction to maintain that tension. And so once we are conditioned in that way, like you said, when we reverse that and we do something we're not used to,
right,
our nervous system is essentially going through the same moments, like that trend of telling somebody to run with the same arm and same leg, and you see them and they're struggling. They have to actually think about it because we're so automatic. People in particular that are good at that are all of our performers.
Yeah, so all of our athletes,
musical artists, anybody that has to do more than one thing with more than one limb at the same time.
Yeah, when you have to make your brain do a few things at the same time, that's how you grow that skill.
Staying on topic of recovery.
Staying on topic. So I want to talk about a couple of therapies, professional recovery therapies that earlier you mentioned that the wellness industry or the recovery therapies are being so much more accessible now, which is fantastic. There's been a technological boom that has happened in the recovery or wellness field in the last 5 to 10 years. Often you had to be a professional athlete, you had to be a VIP of some sort. Now you don't have any of that. The level of entry is relatively low and affordable. And so as far as recovery therapies go, I've already covered the hot cold for free. I've already covered the walking backwards for free. But if you're looking to really up your recovery game, red light therapy is one of those therapies that is readily accessible these days and is fantastic. You can get certain devices for yourself at home. You can go to certain places that have recovery therapies, red light therapy. We have all of the therapies. We have people come in here quite often, athletes and otherwise, that just come in for a red light session or a sauna. Red light therapy is amazing. It's non-invasive. There's no downside to it. There's a couple of different types of red light therapy. Near infrared light therapy is the ideal. And then the big thing you want to know about that is you want to know what the frequency of that near infrared light therapy is. And the frequency makes a big difference. The frequency is just the depth of which it goes into your body and your soft tissues. And so, for instance, would be what's very popular these days. My wife has one. My daughters have one. Is there's like a red light hood that they put over their face because it helps with getting wrinkles out, youthful appearance. It helps to promote collagen production in the dermis. That frequency goes to your dermal layer, the bottom layer of your skin, and is wonderful for all those things. But when we're talking about recovery, we're talking about the near infrared light frequency that goes deeper and that goes into your joints and can really help with reduction of inflammation. It can help with accelerating all of the cells it comes in contact with. And to geek out for a second, what happens with red light is every cell in our body has a little engine inside of it, the mitochondria. And this little mitochondria turns, the motor turns, and it can do that in a non-oxygen environment. And it can produce, every time it rotates or turns with no oxygen, it produces 2 units of energy or 2 ATP. If it has oxygen, it turns one time and produces 36 units of energy, which is considerably more than 2. And so red light therapy helps to push the oxygen into the cell that its area is treating. And then the cell is going to pick up its speed. It's going to work more efficiently. It's going to be healthier. If the cell is not a healthy cell and kind of at the end of its cellular life, It can fast forward that natural process where it starts to break down, and we use those parts to build up new cells. And then this time, the new cells that we're building in replace of it is healthier and stronger. And so that's how the near infrared light really helps with the body's natural system of recovery. And you can, again, you can go, gosh, you can go all over the place now. A lot of gyms have red light therapy. PT offices carry it. Some chiropractors, I think, carry it. My only caveat would be make sure that wherever you're going to get your red light therapy, you're getting the frequency necessary for the job that you want or the goal that you want.
Mhm.
If you're trying to recover from maybe a strained low back, or you played pickleball for the first time in 3 months, and other than that, you really haven't been moving around, and now your heels hurt or your knees are sore, the red light that is great for your skin and wrinkles goes to about 630 nanometers. When you're looking for pain recovery, cellular function, metabolic upturn, any of that stuff, you want a minimum of 800 nanometers of frequency. That's what I mean by the depth. You want things that go a little deeper if you're looking for more out of it, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, that's red light therapy. Now, the other thing that I would say as far as circulation is very helpful for the athlete, obviously, lactic acid, muscle soreness. We want more fluid moving around, more blood moving around. But circulation, anything that can help with your circulation. And for my regular people that aren't athletes, no big deal. You know somebody that has some pins and needles or neuropathy in their feet. If you know somebody that has restless leg, if you know somebody that has swelling in their ankles, a lymphadenopathy, lymphedema, all kinds of different conditions that circulation is decreasing. Smart compression therapy, and by smart, I mean a computerized program that helps to utilize compression, usually in a leg sleeve boot. They do make like these shorts for your hips. They make some for your arms and your shoulders. But all of these devices should be pumping in a certain pattern and helping to increase your circulation. Just as a looking at through a chiropractic lens that I always look at things through, we are always trying to heal the disc because we know that the injury happens at the disc. The intervertebral discs, they don't have a very good blood supply or a very large blood supply, although they do have a blood supply. But anytime we can increase more circulation throughout the entire body, we know that everything is going to help heal better a little bit more. And we see all of our athletes, they use, we have Normatec leg sleeves and compression therapy here. They love it. We put it on our regular patients as well. They love it. Actually, just loaned a pair out to one of our patients that has a problem with lymphatic drainage and circulation. And he's not an older guy, but he's not a younger guy either. These therapies that are out here nowadays that you can find are fantastic. And again, you can buy these therapies and have them for your use at home, for your own recovery purposes. So if you can use some of these tools, I would strongly recommend both of those. But also, again, there's lots of things you can do at home as well. For free, you can do right away, right now. One thing I think that a lot of people mistake and don't count as a very effective recovery tool is specific chiropractic care. And I need to kind of clarify that. Before I was a chiropractor, I didn't know that there were different methods of chiropractic. I just thought everybody was a chiropractor, did the same exact thing. And we both know, that's not the case. Just like in the medical community, there's many specialties. Well, in the chiropractic community, there's many methods of chiropractic and approaches. And there is a very generalized approach to chiropractic care, which is perfectly fine. And they teach it in all the schools. And it's kind of the lowest threshold of ability. It's very easy to spot when you go into your chiropractor's office. They don't normally address too many questions with you. They don't use a lot of them nowadays, unfortunately, doesn't usually look at x-rays or take x-rays, which blows me away. They lay you down on some weird looking bench or table looking thing. They put you on your side and they roll and pop your hip, and they flip you over on the other side and they roll and pop that hip, and they put your face down and they go up your back and they pop, 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 pop as many times as they can. They flip you back over so you're looking up at the sky, and they twist your neck one way and they go pop. They twist your neck the other way and they go pop. And then often they'll put you back on your stomach and they'll pick your feet up so your legs come up, and they'll say, "Oh, look, your feet are level. We did something." They tell you, hey, this is something you need to do for the rest of your life. And a lot of times they'll tell you, you got to come in here for at least a year before we're going to get to whatever solution or resolution you want. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. It's going to improve your generalized range of motion. I take umbrage to it in the sense that I get that treatment, and then the next person gets that treatment, and the next person. Everybody gets the exact same thing, the exact same way every time you come in. And I have had lots of chiropractic care due to my previous injuries of all types. And often it left me wanting more, or maybe in a little more discomfort, or maybe I'd feel a little relief, but then it would kind of come back. Whatever I was fighting would come back, and it kept on coming back. And I kept thinking to myself, this can't be it. I mean, you got to be able to find the problem and fix the problem. I can't keep having this problem over and over. If I had a car issue with my wheel and I took it into my mechanic and he said, hey, come pick your car up, I fixed it.
Mhm.
And then he said, by the way, I'd like to see you next week so I can fix your tire again. He said, hey, come back next week so I can fix your tire. What do you do? And so many different types of chiropractic. And you want something that's going to be very specific to you and that's going to actually have some proof to it. There are many, many types of chiropractic that are very specific and wonderful. We practice the gold standard of chiropractic care that's called the Gonstead method. If you're interested in, I would look up the gonsteadseminar.com. They have a lot of good information on there. Or you can call me. I love to talk about it. I'll talk about it every day, all day. Even my students hate when I talk about it forever, but I'll do it. But this is a method of chiropractic that we look at from a foundational principle standpoint. We look at the pelvis first, that being our foundation. Just like when you build a home, you need a level foundation. Our body is no different. It's a mechanical structure. And if you don't maintain that mechanical structure, you will have breakdown. And so we do a very good job of finding your root cause problem, accepting where we find it, because sometimes back pain can be caused from up top here. Sometimes digestive issues and stuff can be caused from down a bit lower and up and down. So we find the problem, we accept where we find the problem, we fix the problem with protocols that are not our idea. This isn't a, let's see what, we'll throw it at the wall and see if it works. These are protocols that have been in place since this method has been around, and it is repeatable for everybody that decides to put the work in and learn that craft. And then we fix it, we leave you alone, and we let you heal, because everybody knows truly the true healing comes in between the visits, not at the visits. And when you can find a specific chiropractor and you can add them to your recovery program, you can really add a really, really big tool to your toolbox to get you recovering like nobody's business. And we see it all the time. People coming in and out of here that walking in with a lot of instability and a lot of discomfort, and they've lost their quality of life, and they think this is it. The next step is definitely going to be surgery, but they've gone to everybody and everybody says, I can't help you. We can find the problem. We can walk it back. We can get their life back. Their body starts to function better. Their nervous system functions better. They recover better. So I would say, just as a added bonus, if you're trying to be a better human and be optimally functional, you need to find yourself a specific chiropractor. And again, I'm not going to tell you that you need to, once you see a chiropractor, you have to come forever. Your life should be controllable by you 80 to 90% of the time. You should be able to know how to treat yourself and do certain things to make yourself and your life as easy as possible it is for you. That 20 to 10% of the time when you can't find any resolve, that's when you need us.
Yeah.
And
we should be able to train you in a way that you can look for certain signs. You can look for what the aggravating factor is, what that root cause is, and just be more aware of yourself. That way you can come in and say, hey, I've been dealing with this again. A lot of people understand and notice different things. They just don't necessarily know how it makes sense
for sure
with all of it.
Yep. Even the walking backwards, when I sit down with the patient and I first tell them that, they think, I never thought about that before. And I have them do it before we do anything, so they can see, hey, there's a marked improvement. We haven't even touched you yet. One little side note about my love of chiropractic and my chiropractic brothers and sisters out there. I say this with all respect and love. You really want to investigate your doctor, every doctor that you have, right? You want to ask a lot of questions. If they can't explain things to you in terms that you understand, maybe they're not the greatest fit for you. But you want to ask them why they do things and why don't they do certain things? And again, you want to really investigate this. You have to advocate for your care. Nobody else is going to do that as good a job for you as you. So you got to ask a bunch of questions. And I will say, back turn of the century, going back a long time, the medical community had similar issues. The chiropractic community for a while has had some issues, and it's because sometimes we let ourselves get fooled by things that we hope will work or we wish will work. When we are dealing with patients, we're going off of evidence-based principles. We're going off of things that have been clinically relevant and significant in the medical and chiropractic community. These are things that are tested and retested and over and over and over again. And so we have certain protocols that if you have this and this, these are the protocols that will get you fixed. I have been personally going into a few places in my past, and not in Greenville. But in my past, one, for instance, would be I walked in early on after my injury. I walked into a chiropractor's office. This was upstate New York. And somebody had referred me and said, hey, no, this person is great. Go see them. So I walked in there and there was incense all over the place. I have nothing against incense, but there was incense, a little bit cloudy in there. And then the person walked out from behind the beaded curtain. And the first thing I noticed about him right away was he wasn't wearing shoes, barefoot. And I thought to myself, nope, I'm in the wrong place. Both my parents, just as a caveat, are retired RNs. So I do come from a medical side of things, right? So I expect my doctors to wear clothes and shoes. I expect my doctor's visits to look like it's going to be a doctor's visit. So that's just my expectations, right? But I had a bad connotation of chiropractors that lasted years and years and years because of that. And it really, truly, even though I saw other chiropractors in the sense, it wasn't until I moved down here and I actually found a chiropractor that did this method and found it fixing me that I realized, oh, there's a whole different world to this. So liking somebody is great, but making sure that they are capable and they're able to find the problem, they're able to accept where that problem is, they're able to fix the problem, and then they're able to leave you alone and let you heal are probably four of the most important things I can say to look for when you are shopping for a specific chiropractor. Yeah. Ask a ton of questions and really make sure you're in a good spot with that person because that's the person you're entrusting your nervous system and your musculoskeletal system's health to. I do want to tell you a little bit of a case history of a athlete that I had in the past. This is a good representation of when you have a recovery plan in place, what it can do for your ability to perform, to heal, to benefit versus when you don't. So generally speaking, when somebody has a concussion, we put them under a concussion protocol. And that protocol has changed vastly over the years, but it's pretty good now. And again, in generalizations, depending on the severity of the concussion and the amount of times they have been concussed in the past, we're looking for the athlete to return to gameplay somewhere between, let's call it 8 to 12 weeks. We had a couple of years ago, we had a player that had a long history of concussions, not a ton of them, but enough. And they were concussed during a game. And so it just so happened that after they were injured, and they had that head injury. And by the way, every concussion is a brain injury. Yeah. Every TBI is a brain injury. Every CTE is a brain injury. All of that stuff. They're all some level of brain injury. So don't discount them. That's like when I hear patients say, oh, I have a normal headache. Headaches aren't normal. So this player, after he was injured, the team had gone on a long road trip. And if you're injured, you're on the injured reserve. Yeah. You don't go on the road trip, especially if you're concussed. You have lots of different things to do. And so left to our own devices, that player was coming in to see me probably every third day. For about 2 or 3 weeks. And I didn't adjust them all the time, but I checked them every time. I wanted to make sure the nervous system was clear. Once we did that, there were certain recovery protocols and therapies that we have here that we use for lots of people. And we did it over and over again. And the whole goal is to get the athlete, the physical part of it, game ready and safe, but the mental part of it as well, game ready and safe. Because if your brain isn't healed properly, but your body is, and you go back in there, the percentage chance of getting re-injured that way or worse is higher than 60%. So it's pretty heavy. So anyway, he went through our concussion protocol. He went through our therapies. The team returned. And a couple of weeks later, I had a teaching engagement. And I actually think you were there at this one.
Probably.
But normally the night before we do our workshops, we meet up and we talk to the students. And it's a little time to get a little more one-on-one is when we're teaching in a seminar. There's lots of people there and we're trying to teach everybody at one time. We're in the middle of talking to some students and my phone rings. And so I look over at my phone and I said, oh, excuse me, let me ignore this. Sorry. And I look down and it's the coach. Now, I'm just going to preface this by saying as a ex-athlete, when the coach calls, I am ready to go. But knowing professional athletes now from a physician point of view, the coaches don't often call me. We talk, we discuss things. But out of the blue, they're not going to call me all the time. And so I said, oh, let me take this real quick. And so I jumped out and I walked away and I talked to the coach for a little bit and I came back and I said, here's a good story for you guys. The coach was calling to thank me because the player had been medically cleared, both mentally and physically, to return to gameplay. And it was on his 5.5 week mark. So I said, oh, of course, that's what I'm here for. I'm just happy to help the team in any way that I can. And he had this kind of shocked aspect to his voice. And I just I don't know. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't focus on it. I was in the middle of doing something anyway. So I thanked him for calling, and off I went. I went back to the thing. Well, when I got back to the team after that weekend, the next home game, the player came up to me and he said, "Hey, I told my manager about the recovery stuff that we did, and that I'm already back." And he's blown away because he said this is the fastest he's ever seen somebody come back from a concussion that's fully cleared. And this guy, manager, whomever he is, has other professional athletes at a much higher level. As a matter of fact, at the highest level when it comes to hockey. And he was asking, hey, he was wondering, is it okay if I share your information with him? So of course, yes, of course. Let's go now. Let's drive to him, whatever. So I started to understand though why the coach had that blown away kind of sound to him, because in what we do, we expect miracles all the time, in the sense that we find your problem, we fix your problem. And like in my case, my personal case, I thought I was going to live with pain forever and just have to go through surgery and surgery. Well, that's not the case at all. For me, that's a miracle, and we see our patients get these miracles all the time. And so they become a regular occurrence to us, kind of. And not that I discount them, I celebrate with them, but it really is important to know that when you have a good recovery plan in progress and you have good specific chiropractic care, and whatever you have going on, and you are dedicated to getting better as the patient, when the doctors and patients work together and we use all of our tools at our disposal, the body knows how to heal very well, and it can come back online very quickly. And you can really hit the gas pedal and go on with, again, whatever activity. My 2 cents on recovery has always been, if the children that are playing school age athletics have more recovery just in their everyday, they are more likely to be injury free and play the sport they love longer. And then the ones that are supposed to maybe get a scholarship from high school to college, but they got injured during high school because they didn't have any recovery therapies or programs, and so they got injured because of repetition or whatever, they now get that chance to get that scholarship. And those kids that are in college, that are playing college level, whatever, D1, D2, D3, whatever it may be, if they have the recovery tool belt or toolbox, they potentially can play their sport longer, they're injury free longer. So maybe some scouts look at them. And now maybe instead of just playing in the college and say, oh, back in the college, I used to play basketball. Well, now maybe that same person gets a chance to go over to Europe and play professional basketball, or they get to play professional basketball here. And for the pros, when you're at that level, especially football, right? You kill yourself to get to that professional level. And then it's all about trying to stay healthy so you can stay in that game long enough to make a career out of it. Well, since childhood football, junior football camp, if you've had some basic recovery skills taught to you, and now you've made it all the way up to the upper echelon, you're going to play for a really long time at a really, really high level. And so again, it's small little changes you can make today that make a huge difference tomorrow. That's my 2 cents on it.
Next episode, we'll discuss a little bit more about the actual process of what we're looking to address as chiropractors and how that more specifically helps the recovery process. Because at the end of the day, we are not neurologists, but we are affecting the nervous system, each and every adjustment, and nervous system controls everything.
Till next time.
Till next time.